The Partial Breakaway Podcast with your hosts Nick and Junior and producer Vince, bringing you elite fantasy hockey information to help you win your fantasy leagues and win at life.
Let's go. 2 away, 3 away from the 1 year anniversary, guys.
Yes. We are almost closing in on 1 year doing this thing that we call podcasting.
Where we pretend to know what we're saying.
Well, I mean, if you listen to any of the YouTube and Twitter responses, we absolutely have no idea what we're talking about.
Hey, it depends who you ask. Speaking of YouTube, Vince, didn't you have something...
Oh, we hit 100 subscribers.
100 subscribers on YouTube. So thank you very much, everybody. Little round of applause to everybody. Please like and subscribe. Please continue putting that alert on for our new content. We provide this for free, and the only thing we ask is a simple subscribe button so that we could feel better about ourselves at the end of the day.
Yeah, a little encouragement.
By the way, we're at 113 now.
Wow.
As of a few minutes ago. So
that's impressive, guys. Good job.
For YouTube subscribers, we started YouTube very late as well.
We did. And I think it's a credit to us. Look, I know 100 subscribers doesn't seem like a lot, but for 3 dads doing this part-time, I don't even know if it should be part-time. It's probably like a tenth of the time for how much else we have going on. But
according to our wives, it's too long.
We can't please everyone, you know what I'm saying? No, honestly, I'm proud of us. Good job.
Did you just say we can't please our wives? Couldn't be closer to the truth.
We're already getting off topic.
But back to hockey and the podcast.
No, wait. Let's talk about football for a second here.
Oh, boy.
So,
Raiders.
Niners.
Yeah, none of us could
Dolphins,
say anything.
we all
Yeah, that was rough. At least fantasy-wise, I went 50-50.
So I can guess that in the Bush League podcast that we listen to, they're gonna guarantee say low end Miami Dolphins, low end Las Vegas Raiders, disappointments San Francisco 49ers. So there we go.
Actually, on that note, I reached out to Roger because I had a question regarding some fantasy football, and he told me to pick up Adam Thielen of the Carolina Panthers, and it turned out to be a fantastic decision.
Until he got hurt.
But he got the points I needed.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
Okay.
he got a touchdown, 40 yards or so, and 3 catches. Not bad. Anyhow, credit to Roger. Thank you very much. Bush League podcast.
Football advice, guys. It's a very good podcast. They're very good at what they do. And now we're going to try to give you some hockey advice because...
that's what we do.
Well, since my Raiders suck and I'm ready to give up on football, might as well just lean into hockey. Preseason started.
Preseason hockey, guys. Wow.
Hockey's back.
Have you seen that saucer pass by my man, Lane Hudson?
Oh, here we go.
Yes.
That was part of the lightning round, but I guess...
sorry. I didn't. I don't read your notes.
You haven't read the notes, eh? Well, since Junior started it, why not? So we have a few highlights that we wanted to throw out there in the lightning round, and I'm just going to mention all 4 of them. You guys tell me what is news or noise. How about that?
You go, Nick.
All right.
First one's noise.
Lane Hudson saucer pass from his own D circle all the way, lobs it right on the stick of Heineman, who goes on a breakaway. Past, I think, 4 players on the opposition. News or noise?
Look, he's making a name for himself. So I'm going to say it's news. Noise. No, news. I'm saying it's news because all of training camp so far, he's been a standout. And that's exactly what you want from him. So he's going to make it difficult for the coaches to say, I'm sending you down, which they might still end up doing.
It's like every day, and I know it's a lot of hype in Montreal as well, so we have to keep that in mind, right?
But it's not-
it's every day there's a new highlight reel of Lane Hudson doing something stupendous.
But it's not just the Montreal media pointing it out.
Right.
Scott Wheeler's come out and said something.
Yeah.
Oh man, I missed the other
Spinning
guy.
chicklets.
Spinning chicklets. Everybody's giving this guy credit. Now, like, look, it might be too soon. I mean, he might play an actual NHL game and not look so good, but they're talking about him, and that's for him. That's a great sign.
Yeah. Yeah. News noise.
Noise. I'll give you one name. No, but I'll give you one name. Guillaume Latendresse. What happened with Guillaume Latendresse?
It's not quite the same.
It's exactly the
It's
same.
not
In
the same.
preseason with Guy Carbonneau, had a phenomenal preseason. Everybody thought he was going to be the next power forward to score 50 goals and body check everybody and be the next John Leclerc who played with Lindros. And then once the season started, well, shit blew out of the water. Like, it's, to me, it's noise. He hasn't.
I like the expression. I don't think that's the right one, though.
No,
But
but
it's,
he's-
I don't
listen,
think shit blows out of the water.
I don't. I
Shit
don't.
hits the fan.
The thing is, I don't think Lane Hudson is a non-talented player. I think he's a phenomenally talented player. But like Victor was saying when he was on this podcast,
He said he'd be the next Makar.
Yeah, he said he has a very high ceiling, but he has a very low floor. So until he starts playing with real NHLers, that's when it's gonna come out and see if he can. Like once he starts getting hit every time he goes back to get the puck. Once he starts, that's when we're gonna see what he can do. I'm hoping he becomes a first pairing defenseman. Don't get me wrong, and that could bring the power play to a number one power play in the league at one point. But right now, it's just noise. And like I said, remember Guillaume Latendresse, when he first played preseason, they forced him onto on the team, which at the end, even Guy Carbonneau came out and said it was a mistake. We should have sent him down.
Okay, so there was one game where two different players had hat tricks. Jesse Puljujarvi for Pittsburgh had a hat trick, and Peterka for Buffalo had a hat trick in the same game. I want to know, Jesse Puljujarvi, is this possibly a redemption season for him? Maybe a coming back out season?
It depends what you expect from him. Do I
Well,
think-
fantasy relevance. That's all you could really hope for.
Yeah, I could see him fighting the 15 to 20 goals this year.
Wow. Okay, so
Potentially.
waiver wire
if he stays
fodder?
healthy, 82 game pace.
Like watch list?
Watch list, definitely watch list. But I don't see him scoring 60 points though.
Yeah, same thing. He's hot and cold, so he'll be a guy you pick up for 2 weeks because he's on fire, and then drop him because the next 5 weeks he's not visible. So
Okay. What about Peterka? Are we seeing breakout season? What are we talking about for Peterka?
I think he kind of broke out last year. I think now everybody knows his name. Everyone knows who he is. I expect him to just take another step in his development. I like the kid a lot, and I think he's getting great opportunity.
yeah, opportunity, confidence. It's all there with Tage. If he gets to play with Tage Thompson again.
So you both say news on that one.
Yeah, Peterka for sure.
What about Bedard's reverse lacrosse goal? It was a backhand there to the top of the net, basically.
You're calling it a lacrosse or Michigan?
Whatever.
Reverse cowgirl.
It doesn't impress. Explicit. Mommy, what's a reverse cowgirl? Yeah, back to
The
I mean,
professionalism of this podcast has dipped.
I'm just over the whole Michigan goal. Like it's just so
But this
natural
was a
to everyone.
backhander.
I know. It's just I'm over it.
But it's Bedard. He's. This is what separates.
creative, I think.
This is what separates.
It's impressive, but
Yes, but this is what separates elite players from what do we call McDavid? A generational player.
generational.
Yeah.
This is what it is. Like for people to think that Bedard is not a generational player, they haven't been watching him.
Well, McDavid hasn't done Michigan or reverse Michigan, so how good could he be?
He just put up 100 assists, 170 points.
So it's not on the list here, but I wanted to mention it. Did we talk about last episode how Mishkov did tried a Michigan in
Practice.
practice, and Torts just stared at his general manager from the bench.
Yeah, but you know what?
Did we talk about it? I forgot.
No, we didn't. We didn't.
didn't?
I feel Torts.
But he smirked though. He
Yeah.
laughed a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
I feel Torts.
For now.
I feel
Yeah, for
Torts
now.
might have a little more patience for Michkov than we think, because I don't think Philly or he thinks that they're ready to make that jump for the playoffs. So I think he might have a longer leash than people think.
I just want to mention, guys, Luchenko, for all the grief that we gave them during that draft pick, has looked amazing.
3 points today.
He
Yeah.
looks amazing. And he was the youngest person of that draft.
Yeah.
So,
2 assists for Mishkov today. 1 on the power play.
yeah. Farabee, too, had
Looked
something
pretty
like
good.
4 points anyways. All right. So, enough about preseason.
What's the episode about, Nick? What's the episode about?
We're doing rankings for defensemen today.
Oh,
Defenseman
wow.
rankings, and we have separated them in some sort of tiers. But we're going to start with our number 1 overall defenseman, and I'll mention this one, and then I'll... Should I just mention the whole tier?
I would mention tier 1,
And then
and
see
then we
what
can
comments
discuss
we have, right?
exactly. And if we don't
Okay.
have any players that we think should be, if we have any players that are in tier 2 that we should think that are in tier 1, then once we get to the tier 2, we can discuss more.
Okay, so tier 1 for this season, I have Cale Makar, Roman Yossi, Adam Fox, and Evan Bouchard.
Junior.
I mean, for all accounts and purposes, Makar should be in a tier of his own. I don't think any of those guys really come close to the amount of points he can put up. But yeah, I think that's fair. I would have swapped Fox with Quinn Hughes, but I think that's fair given the expectations and.
Junior doesn't listen to our rules.
No, he just said if we have a player that we would have. You said it.
When we speak about them in the tier 2.
Oh, no, guys, it's fine. Just talk. Go ahead.
This is it. No.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, Junior. Go.
He just wants to... He's trying to rub salt in
Now I'm
your
confused.
49ers wounds.
It's because you don't remember Quinn Hughes, not number 1 defenseman.
Is Quinn Hughes a number 1 defenseman, Junior?
It's trending that way.
Okay, so go.
What a cop-out.
I just need more views, guys. We need more views. No, like I said, I think I would have just swapped Hughes for Adam Fox. But other than that, I mean, sounds good to me.
I like the Makar. Roman Yossi I like, but I would put Quinn Hughes ahead of Roman Yossi.
You know, sometimes I would agree with you on that, but I think that it's just the reason why it ended up this way is because Yossi's just done it consistently.
Yeah.
And he's put up those points consistently, and that's the only reason that I have him higher than, let's say, a Quinn Hughes or a Bouchard or a Fox.
The one guy I would push down to tier 2 would be an Evan Bouchard.
Because he's only done it once?
Yeah, I feel that.
But he's done it once really, really well.
No, well
Like,
listen,
actually,
with,
technically, you're right. You could put
with the team he plays with,
You could
he
put
can
Bouchard and
he could be easily one that
Quinn.
goes to tier 1. But I feel I would put him more in the tier 2. So I would have like Makar, Quinn Hughes, Roman Yossi, Adam Fox. Man, he's done well, but point wise, has he slowed down?
I'll tell you what. I think
last 3
no,
years,
just
he's over
asking.
70
he
points.
put up the quietest 72-point season for a defenseman ever. I think last year.
He put 73 last year. He played 72 games, got 73 points.
Oh yeah, 73. Sorry, I thought that was projection. 73
Over a
out of
point per
70.
game for a
Yeah,
defenseman.
just over a point per game. But it was a very quiet point per game season.
Yeah, that's it. We didn't hear a lot about Fox, but he just consistently puts up.
He puts up points,
Yeah.
man.
The reason I like Bouchard in tier 1 because most leagues count goals as more points than assists, and I think Bouchard with the clapper he has,
Yeah.
will likely get a few more goals
And
than anybody.
with teams concentrating on McDavid and Draisaitl, he's got a bit more space up there.
yeah,
The one guy that I feel might make the run for tier 1, that's not in our tier 1, is Dahlin this year.
Could be.
I feel a big season out of Dahlin this year.
starting injured.
He's starting injured, yeah.
It's okay, but I feel he's with the team Buffalo has.
It's just he regressed last year.
Yes, but the whole team regressed. Like Tage Thompson regressed too. right?
Yeah, no, the
So
whole
you're
team.
Yeah, the whole team regressed.
if we're pushing the whole team to do better, he's gonna be one that's gonna benefit from that.
The only reason that he's not in my T1
Mm-hmm.
is because all of the guys there,
Have proven. Yeah.
or like Evan Bouchard hasn't proven it more than 1 year, but he got 90 points.
Last year, 80.
80 points.
80
No?
Oh,
points,
sorry,
80
80 points last year. Like, so I'm comparing Darlene, who had 59 last year, to that. It's kind of, but I mean, look, we could always play with T1 and T2. I just feel like I don't know if they're really going to push or not.
Listen, that for everybody who's listening, at one point, once we're done our goalies, our defensemen, and our forwards, we're gonna come up with a
Consensus.
consensus list where we're gonna put it out on our social media outlets, so you guys can have an idea of where we actually, because it's like it's
Sure,
very
we are.
hard for three guys to agree
Yeah.
on one list, right?
Yeah.
So that's why right now we're doing it this way, because we all have it's a discussion area, and then by one point we will have a consensus list where we will send out, and you guys can look at it and use it if you have to.
Okay, how about you mention our tier 2 or my tier 2?
I just had one more question regarding tier 1.
Sure.
Do you think people like Roman Yossi was already putting up a lot of points? How many more points do you think he can get just by the additions they made? Is it a question of he's still going to be part of the same amount of goals, or are they going to score more goals? Like, how many more points do you guys see Roman Yossi getting this year from the 85 he had last year in 82 games?
I
I don't know if he gets as many.
there Nick took it from my go Nick,
That's,
you go, you
is that-
preach, my brother, you preach.
It's not that. I just felt that everything had to run through Roman Yossi because there was limited amount of firepower. But don't get me wrong, I'm not saying regression to 70 points. I'm saying he'll get maybe 80 points, point per game, something like that this year. And part of that has to do with age 34 season coming in. But at the same time, the guy puts up 23 freaking goals. He's done it more than once.
You see, but that's where I feel it's gonna lower, because on the power play it was basically Yossi or Forsberg going at it, right? But now you're throwing in Marshall, so you're throwing in Stamkos, so they might be playing the puck a little more often than not. So I feel that's where he might. Listen, he's gonna get there. He's gonna get 75 and even 80 points and over, just because. But I feel his goals might suffer a bit in the whole once the season comes along.
All right.
Junior, why don't you read off tier 2 for us?
So in tier 2, we have. I list them all, and then you guys
Yeah, list
pick
them
and
all.
choose
We've
who you
already
want.
spoken about a couple of them. But
Okay, so I mean these tiers are a little smaller than the other ones. So we have Rasmus Dahlin, Quinn Hughes, Noah Dobson, Victor Hedman, Miro Heiskanen, Zach Werenski, Morgan Riley, and Eric Carlson. Interesting. I have Dahlin also as my number one guy in tier 2. I mean, we already spoke about him. What about someone who is, again, a very quiet point producer, Noah Dobson? Does he not get enough credit for how productive he is?
you know what? Dobson really came out of his shell last year, and he hadn't done it before that. He flirted with 50, like he had 50 points and then 49 points in 2 consecutive seasons, and then all of a sudden he jumped to 70. And I think it's around this time now, because he's coming out of his shell. He's starting to really become that go-to player in Long Island. I feel like that 70-point mark is his new average. His new, like I'm expecting that
His
year
floor.
in, year out. Maybe
Not his floor, but like his average?
his average. I would say like from now on, 65 to 75 points, I think is what he's going to be getting year to year.
Yeah, with a new system, especially with the Patrick system that came in only halfway through the year last year, and this year it's going to be fully implemented. I feel he, at some point in his career, he'll hit the 82 points. He'll hit the 1 point per game, because I feel the Islanders are just going to be a bit more offensive, and there's really nobody that's going to threaten him for power play number one D-man. Like, they don't have anybody behind him that's
That's threatening him, yeah?
Yeah, the potential that he is. So I feel he's still young, he still has things to learn, but he can get to that point.
I think they need him to be a point per game player if they want to really be serious contenders here for the playoffs. All right,
my big question was,
sure.
do you think Heiskanen is a 73-point player like he did in 22-23? Or is he a 54-point player like he did in 23-24?
No, Heiskanen is 70-plus point.
He's only done it once, don't forget.
Yeah, I know, but Dallas was also coached under, what's his name? The guy from Winnipeg who just took his retirement.
Bonus?
Bonus?
Who's known for a very defensive system going out.
I mean, DeBoer is not super offensive either. I don't think.
But Pierangelo played with DeBoer with Vegas.
Yeah, that's true.
He got his points. So, and also, Dallas young guys are coming up like Hintz, Robertson, and then you throw in White, Johnson,
Stankoven, Maverick Board.
You know, like those guys are coming up. It's going to be I feel Heiskanen, to me, Heiskanen is a 70-plus point defenseman. I feel last year was a bit of a let-off for him.
Well, I was just going to say I put him here because, like Dobson, he's done it once. Like a lot of these guys that are in this tier, they've done it once, or they haven't done it recently.
They have the talent and the skill to do it consistently, but they just haven't done it yet. But since we're speaking of Miro Heiskanen, some fantasy advice here personally, and you guys can give your take on it. Don't be afraid of taking a defenseman just because there's another offensive defenseman on the team. Like, we've seen it time and time again where there could be two offensive defensemen on the team that put up a lot of points. And I don't think Thomas Harley should scare you from taking a Heiskanen.
No.
Right? Just like when PK was with Nashville, it shouldn't have scared you to take Yossi or whatnot.
I don't feel Harley is at the level Heiskanen is. Like the one guy in this group that kind of worries me is Werenski. Like, is he just a 50-point player? Can he hit? Because in tier 2 we're expecting 70 points or even 60?
Hopefully 60, 65.
60, 65. So like Werenski, if we look at it, 47, 37, 44, 41.
But that's all because of if you look at his point paces,
yes.
they reach that 60. That's why he's in this tier.
Nick, if point paces
I know.
worked, I would win every fantasy league.
Yeah, but okay, so you're absolutely right about Werenski that his injury history is really what drops him.
Mm-hmm.
And we're kind of hopeful that he's in tier 2 because he stays healthy. It would be nice for Columbus to have a healthy Werenski all year. Morgan Riley is kind of in that, is always healthy though, and doesn't put up points. He's only passed 60 points twice in his career. Once in 2018 and once in 2021.
And it's so weird because he plays PP1. But
with some of the best players in the world.
But the thing is, this is what I'm afraid of with Nashville, is that Morgan Riley plays with 3 guys that are 100-plus players. You have Nylander, you have Matthews, and you have Marner on the power play. So these guys are playing within themselves. They're not using Morgan Riley as that quarterback. So I feel that's where Morgan Riley needs to get his points 5-on-5 because on the power play, it's.
I think at this point, Morgan Riley is who he is at this point.
Yes,
and there's a reason why they had gone out to get Klingberg last year. There's a reason why they were looking for offensive defensemen to take over power play 1 in Toronto. It's just Morgan Riley is not that guy. No. He's a great defenseman, but is he a number 1?
No.
So, like, you're kind of missing that point-producing defenseman in Toronto. Although, with their defensive defenseman that they just got, they're looking in better shape. Maybe it frees up Riley a bit. I don't know.
Guys,
to be more creative?
I don't think it matters. Like you said, there's 3 players of 100 points on that team. Or I don't think Nylander's hit 100 points.
99 last year, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
But everything goes through them. They don't need it to go through Riley on the power play. They just don't. And when it does, I mean, he gets points just based off having three 100-point players.
98th William Nylander.
Ooh, off by one.
On pace for 99.
On pace for 98. He played all 82 games.
No, so I'm just saying it's one of those things where he's on a really talented team and will get points just for that alone, right? And I don't think they need a power play quarterback on that team because I don't think it'll make much of a difference.
Victor Hedman, one of the oldest one that's in that tier, if I'm not mistaken, right? 33 years old.
Probably him and Erik Karlsson might be close in age.
So 33 years old. Last time he hit 85 points, he came back next season with 46. So now last year he hit 76. Can he keep it up, or is age gonna take get the best of him?
I think the year that 2022-23 was, you kind of saw Sergachev creeping in and taking some of that power play time. I think he was dealing with an injury as well, if I'm not mistaken. He was in and out of the lineup a bit. Now Sergachev's not there. And quite frankly, nobody's there. Darren Radish is there.
JJ Moser.
Yeah. He's never really been a high-producing player on the power play.
100%.
Although you own JJ Moser,
That's
which is
exactly
the reason
why
you're
I said
hyping
it.
him up
That's
here.
why I even know about him.
Asterix. So at the end of the day, are we? I don't think there's any competition for Hedman as long as he stays healthy. He's putting up the points this year again, 70+ points for Hedman, and if it wasn't for that 49-point season and that 45-point season in his recent history, he might have even been tier 1.
To your point, 2022-2023 season, he played 1 minute less of ice time and 50 seconds less on the power play because they were starting to incorporate Sergachev a little more. So that could be why he had a bit of a decline, but it could also be they included Sergachev more because Hedman wasn't at his level either.
Well, I mean, he showed last year that he's right back where he was.
But Vince pointed it out last week when we did our rankings for the teams. Less games played for Tampa Bay means a little bit more rest in the offseason for them. And I think it's been doing some good to their older players.
The last person in this tier was Karlsson.
You talk about it, Nick.
Yeah?
This guy is...
Jekyll and Hyde.
Man, like... exactly Jekyll and Hyde.
So... so the listeners understand exactly what Vince and Junior are talking about here. In 2020 and 2021, he played 52 games, had 22 points. In 21-22, he played 50 games, he had 35 points. In 22-23, he had 82 games played, 101 points. And then
Absolutely wild.
in 82 games last year, he had 56 points. So who's the real Slim Shady? I mean, like, I don't know. Erik Karlsson is 34 years old. He's on the Yossi and Hedman age group.
Yeah, he's older. He's the oldest one in this group, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's 34. Hedman's 33. Look,
Just say it,
no,
man.
but it sounds absolutely ridiculous just because in what we do, we're trying to give the best advice possible.
Mom spaghetti, just spit it out.
This guy's palms are sweaty. We're just going to keep going. Anyways, for the loan, like just because there's a possibility he could hit 90 to 100 points, he has to be in this tier because you know he can.
Because we're going to look silly if he hits 100 points again and he's in our tier 4.
And he's playing with better players than he was playing in San Jose.
Yeah.
He's
But
playing with Crosby, Malkin.
But that,
one caveat, less Letang this year. There's going to be already. We
I
started
think
seeing
so,
it last year.
100%.
So this year, I think, and there's been already rumors Letang wants out or whatever. But I think there's less Letang. He's the guy, right? And how many times does Nick say when Carlson's the guy, he puts up the points? So I think there's optimism here for Karlsson.
Hey, what did I preach in the whole Pittsburgh situation? I said, let
My
Letang
people go.
and give it to Karlsson. Give him the full responsibility of running that power play.
Supposedly, there was a trade in the works for Letang to go to Montreal in the
We don't have enough defensemen. We needed another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it fell through. Anyways,
What a shame.
yeah. So that's it for. Does anybody have anything to mention about Tier 2? I mean, we pretty much ran through it. We're 28 minutes into the episode, and we still have about 7 more tiers.
I do.
Okay, go for it.
Relax with the tiers. Like one of the tiers is going to be
I
like
think-
one player.
I'm a little surprised. Not a little surprised because given his injury history, but considering Luke Hughes won't be starting the season,
Oh, stop it.
and despite of that,
Luke Hughes does not
Dougie
belong.
Hamilton has come off a 74-point season, was on pace for almost the same last year before he got hurt
Why do you
after
have to
20
ruin my
games.
intro to tier 3?
Because I think he's a tier 2 player.
I know, but that was my intro to tier 3.
Well, you
Okay,
know
so
what?
continue the intro,
that's,
Vince.
That's pretty.
So my
good.
title
That's a
to the
good
three,
point.
my title to the tier 3 defensemen are the wild cards, because some of these defensemen already hit high point totals, but yet we have them under some players that never hit those high totals. So we have like John Carlson, Dougie Hamilton, Mikhail Sergachev, Shea Theodore, who we're still waiting for him to break that door down and come out and play. Charlie McAvoy, Josh Morrissey, who had a phenomenal season last year. Mort Sider with his $1 million contract,
$8.5 million.
$8.5, God bless him. And Mackenzie Weegar, who, hey, there's no one else behind him. So, which one of these defensemen do you guys think, fantasy-wise, could like do you see a sleeper in this in this tier 3 wildcard tier?
So
Go, Nick. I'll say Nick first because Nick wants to talk. Go.
Dougie Hamilton.
100. Go.
Let me explain to you why Dougie Hamilton is in tier 2.
Let me talk to you.
Let me talk to you.
Nick, by the way, this is our list that we made together.
Okay.
I don't know why you
I
always
don't know.
say my
Yeah,
list.
me, this guy. I don't know.
Because technically, it's my list. And you didn't do anything. And you made one that you didn't share with anyone. So, no. We're going to do the consensus in the
Okay,
end.
so
So it's going to be
go
our
Doug-
list. But
go
this is
Doug.
the one I created right now. And to be, let's be fair. This is Dom's list. And I just input our fantasy.
Dom Lecision
Dom
of
Lecision
the
from The
Athletic,
Athletic.
and I think we're pronouncing it wrong, but
It's okay. Do the Dougie.
So, I don't even know what that means. That's how old I am. But he had 20 games played last year, 16 points. The year before that, 82 games played, 74 points. Hey, yeah. But let me
Let me
about
talk to you.
62 games the year before that, 30 points. Are you still doing that?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And what about the year before
55
that?
games, 42 points.
yeah, that's pretty good. That's 70 points almost on pace.
You're sounding less and less.
You're putting Morgan Riley
Viable.
in front of a.
Morgan Riley has consistently more points than Dougie Hamilton,
I think Dougie Hamilton.
except that 74-point year.
I think he merits
But
a
if you-
spot at tier 2. Even if it's at the bottom of your tier 2, I think he merits a spot at tier 2.
Guys, he hasn't hit. He hit over 50 points twice in his career.
Yeah, but you like talking about 82-point pace.
Yes,
82 game pace.
yes. But like I said for Joseph Wohl, and like we kind of said with Wierenski, like these guys might have been in higher tiers if they showed the ability to stay healthy. And Dougie, unfortunately, has not.
Okay,
Call it
so
what you will. He hasn't. And he's 30. Guys, he's also
31.
31 years old. He's not necessarily
A young chicken.
a spring chicken. He's a little bit getting there.
Do it, Junior.
I think
Preach, Junior.
Okay,
Preach.
so what's your excuse for Josh Morrissey?
No, we're talking about Dougie Hamilton. I'm going to get to Josh Morris.
This guy, man. Oh, because you're doing tier 3. My bad. Okay, now I get it. Dougie Hamilton. No, like, look, you talk about 55 games played. That was a COVID season, so they only played, I think, 56 games. In 55 games, he had
A 63-point
42 points.
63-point pace.
More than,
Morgan Riley hit 60 points twice in his career, you said. So let's add the year before 40 and 47. That's another 60-point pace. 74 points in 82 games 2 years ago. 16 and 20 last year. Well, won't count. It's not enough games played, but
I just find he's coming off a major injury, guys. He's 31 years old. It's not like he's had a history of being healthy.
I see
Right.
what you mean.
It's just a little bit scary. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that he's a bad player, and I'm just saying that he's come off.
You rather go for more of a sure thing in terms of floor because of, in his case, it's because of injury. His floor is lower because of injury.
If I'm comparing him to
Not
Erik
because-
Karlsson, who also has missed some games, right? But Erik Karlsson was the bottom of my tier 2, and Dougie's near the top of a tier 3. But Erik Karlsson, even though he's missed games, has
a 100-point season.
well, right? But he also put up 50.
Yeah,
what was
yeah,
it,
I see what you
56
mean.
last year. You know, so I just feel a little bit more confident in that. That's all. This is really a confidence meter, right? When we're talking about going into next season.
Sorry, I'm making calculations. Give me 2 seconds.
I agree. And
Are you calculating a mortgage over there?
No, these could
look,
be actually
there's
really
two.
good.
There's a decision to be made. Do you go with the Morgan Riley, who stays relatively healthy, is on a high scoring team, is bound to get points just naturally, or do you go with a guy like, because that's going to be the decision to be made, right? That's going to be the decision. Let's say a guy like Morgan Riley or a Dougie Hamilton, who should get more points than Riley, given he stays healthy enough to do it.
So,
But if
I-
he does, then
I
it's a
took-
no-brainer.
I took both players, Morgan Riley and Dougie Hamilton's points and games played. And it gives me a point per game pace that they would have, right?
See, we do math in this
Okay.
damn
But
podcast.
it's also here.
Morgan, no, this one's like perfect. Like Morgan Riley, 0.5967. Dougie Hamilton, 0.5979. So Dougie Hamilton deserves to be in the same tree as Morgan Riley.
Except he doesn't play as many games.
It doesn't matter if he doesn't play as many
Yes, it
games.
does. Point per game. That's exactly what it means. Point per,
Yeah.
like 0.56.
Last year he didn't play because he got a big injury, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
The year before that, he played 82 games, and the year before that, he played only 60
okay, but let's assume
ish.
we don't assume here because that's what we said. But with the team he has and the power play that the Devils are going to throw out there,
Yeah, there's a possibility of him doing very well. There's a possibility of him doing better than Morgan Riley.
100%.
But if he stays healthy, if you're telling me point per game, and this is very simple
Listen,
math.
Morgan Riley can walk on ice.
If
and
you're
break
saying they
his
have the
up.
same 0.56 point per game, right?
No, 0.5967. I made the
Okay,
calculation.
0.5967. Sorry.
0.5979.
He's very proud of this, by the way. 0.5967, right? Point per game. If Riley plays 82 games, he will end up with more points than somebody that plays 70 games. Even though they're the same point per game pace. That's
but
the whole
you-
point of this.
Yes, I understand, but you're assuming
So-
Riley's going to play 82 games.
But he's been healthy. Riley has been healthy. Hamilton hasn't.
Yeah.
So obviously we're trying to look at past to kind of predict future, and that's where
you have to take a player's injury dossier into consideration all the time, especially someone who's been injured as often as Dougie Hamilton has. I still think I would push him up too, because the only reason I'm saying that is because everybody was like, "Oh, Luke Hughes is there now, and Dougie's going to lose."
no, but you're talking about narratives that have nothing to do with the tier
Yeah, I
list.
know, but I would like to say the narratives. So that's what it is. Okay, enough about Dougie Hamilton. Nick, John Carlson. So listen, we all know this year Washington is in every Washington game is gonna finish 10-7 or 7-10 because their
The
whole
Dubois effect.
their whole goal, Washington Capitals this year, is to get Ovechkin 41 goals. So can Carlson go back to those days where he was putting up the 70, 80 points?
They got Chikrin,
Yes.
and that scares me a little bit, but not enough to say that John Carlson will lose his number one power play duties. He's just been consistently their number one power play guy. And even though he lost a bit of points per game last year, he still had 71.9% of the power play time. So I just don't see there being enough all-around talent on that team to all of a sudden lower John Carlson to 50% of the power play time from 71. But I could be wrong, right? They might decide, okay, split it with someone.
Well, early indication is he has power play 1, so that's a plus. Early indication is also that he is on a pairing with Chikrin, according to Daily Faceoff.
That might even help him 5-on-5.
Yeah, I think that helps him 5-on-5. So I expect him to be closer to 60, I think, by the time the season is done, if he plays an 82-game season, of course. I would take John Carlson over Chikrin in a fantasy league that's not non-dynasty.
Okay.
What about our boy from Winnipeg that I think we're a little bit disrespecting right here, Mr. Josh Morrissey? Do we think that he deserves it, like a push to the tier 2, or is tier 3 the?
Look, I think I had him in my tier 2, just because it's 2 consecutive years. He puts up 69 points last year in 81 games. Prior the season before, 76 and 78. He was coming across to me as a late bloomer, right? He's only 29, so at 27 he started producing. There's nobody else on that team to take it away from him. There's nobody else. Maybe Heinola, but unfortunately he won't be seeing the ice anytime soon.
Infection in his leg.
Infection in the screw in his ankle because of the screw they put in.
The
Absolutely
bad luck that
terrible.
guy has
Terrible. But back to Morrissey, look, no competition, so opportunity is A+. Back-to-back seasons with practically 70 points, that's A+. I don't see it changing. I for me, he would have been in my tier 2.
Nick?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. The part where that hurt him a bit, I think it was because Dom's model takes the last 3 years into account. And 3 years ago, he played a lot of games, 79 games, and he only had 37 points. So I think that's where he got hurt in Dom's model. So I agree with you, though. Like, in retrospect, he'd probably deserve to be in the same tier as a Morgan Riley, for example.
3 players I'll name you. You guys tell me which one you think is more fantasy relevant, or will be which one rank these 3 players. Sergachev, Theodore, McAvoy. Junior.
Sergachev,
Theodore or McAvoy? Sergachev, new team, the Utah.
I'll rank them in order for you. I'll do McAvoy, Sergachev, Theodore.
Wow, that surprised me. Why McAvoy first?
Yeah, why McAvoy first?
'Cause I knew you weren't going there, so I'm glad he went there.
I like McAvoy because like he's done it. I'm trying to pull up his stats here. I don't know where he is.
Wait,
Here he
what do
is.
you mean by he's done it?
Hold on a second. Hold on. Hold your horses. He had 52 points in 67 games. Okay. Prior to that, he had 56 in 78. So he was showing progression, and then last year he just dipped. Okay. He's still only 26 years old. He's still only the go-to guy on that team for offense. He should be the number 1 power play defenseman on that team, hands down. He is playing with Pasternak and Marchand. I just feel like last year was a bit of an anomaly. It's not who McAvoy is. And naturally, in his next step of progression, excuse me, I keep hitting your damn screen. I think he should be getting, at the end of a 82-point game season, he should be in the 60 points range.
I think we need a
With at least-
sponsor that's going to get us tablets so we're not smashing each other's screens all the time. So if anybody out there wants to sponsor us for tablets, let me know.
And the 12 goals last year in 74 games, only 1 on the power play. So I expect that to go higher. Sergachev on a new team kind of made me like hesitate a little bit because I want to see what he does on the new team. And Theodore, injuries. So that's why I ranked those 3.
So Theodore injuries, you're absolutely right about that. And if you take a look at his...
Wait, what are your rankings? Make people know what your rankings are. How do you rank
Like
all these
those
3
three in order.
defensemen?
I would put Sergachev,
Okay.
because I think that the opportunity that he has here to be the number one guy is going to be consistently a 65-point player moving forward.
Okay.
I think that's Sergachev moving forward. Right after that, I have Theodore. And the reason I have Theodore is because his point per game pace always beats McAvoy's point per game pace. So the only difference is, like Junior said, is that Theodore hasn't necessarily stayed healthy lately. 47 games played last year, 55 the year before that, right? So we're talking about a significant amount of games missed. But in those times, he had almost point per game. So you have to kind of, take it. And that's just the only part that he's 29 years old. He's not like he's old. He just turned 29 on top of it. So I feel like he still has the potential to put those points up again. And you know how Pietrangelo was there and Hannafin's there?
Mm-hmm.
Well, last year it was Pietrangelo and him, and he had 67% of the power play time. Theodore.
So do you think Hannafin is gonna?
I don't think Hannafin is a power play guy whatsoever. He's a good 5-on-5 player. I just don't think he's a power play producer.
Look, I'm not sure if it's because Theodore was coming off an injury, but when he did come back and Hannafin was there, Hannafin was still getting power play 1. According to Daily Faceoff, as it is right now, Hannafin is the power play 1. And Theodore is on the second pairing with McNabb. That also scared me a little bit, the whole Hannafin acquisition, the long-term contract they gave to him. What does that mean for him going forward? The one thing that could help Theodore big time,
Just
which
Hannafin?
we love mentioning, is contract year.
Right.
Which he likely won't stay. It's almost sure he won't stay in Vegas, which is why they signed Hannafin to that extension.
Yeah, and if you look at the power play time, look at Hannafin's power play time, it's 36%.
With Calgary.
With only with
Mixed.
Vegas, or it was a mix?
The mix. So you're really talking about like a player who's never been power play 1.
So last two players in this tier, Maurice Sider and Mackenzie Weegar. Do you guys see a sleeper in one of these two players, or are we just looking at they're just gonna go on and 50 to 55 points? And
I think Sider could hit 50-55.
okay.
I don't really see him hitting more than that.
And what about you guys? Don't think Weegar might have that little?
It depends. They
sleeper
were
look?
talking about the possibility of having him traded.
Well, listen. There's in this tier. I'm telling you now. John Carlson has been said to be traded if the Washington Capitals
At the deadline?
Yeah, if the
Give
Capitals
him
are
a
not
shot at
in
that
it,
cup again or
they're
something?
yeah, exactly. They're just like I said. The Capitals this year are just in it for let's hit 41 for Ovechkin. So they say John Carlson could be one who might be traded. Shea Theodore, like Junior said, contract year. Vegas won't be able to re-sign him, so for sure they're gonna try to go get something for him. So Mackenzie Weegar is this the because is there anybody else in Calgary besides him that's gonna be that number one defenseman or power play guy?
Well, I was
Rasmus Anderson.
Yeah, well, I was gonna get to it maybe a little bit later when we spoke of like the extras. A player to watch out for is Mir Romanov. They acquired him late last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I mean, he's not young. He's 20. I mean, he's 27, but it's not like he's a prospect coming up. You think like they're gonna give him that opportunity? He has to earn it. But I do see it possibly being him because it's essentially his best asset is his offense. Other than that, he's not very relevant to an NHL team. So, do they give him a shot? Maybe. Again, Weegar came out of nowhere, a bit like Morrissey. So, is this the real Weegar, or it was just given the opportunity? That's what happened, and now we'll see if he could sustain it. Moritz Seider, you know how we talk about a rookie going into his rookie year, if he can hit 45 points, that's like elite. He hit 50 in his rookie year as a defenseman.
But what do you do in the second year?
That's 42 the second year, 42 the third year. 82 games, 82 games, 82 games. All they have is Gustafsson right now, because Sandin Pellikka, I'll be shocked if he makes the team. I'll be shocked if he makes the team.
I'm so glad you mentioned his name because...
But I think over Edvinsson, Seider will probably get priority in terms of power play this year. But Gustafsson, it's his spot to lose.
Because
Don't forget-
Gothenburg's not there. Last year, we can all agree Gothenburg was there for the power play.
Yeah, I think that's why they replaced him with Eric Gustafsson, but he's not quite Gostisbehere, but
Don't forget what Victor said when he was on the podcast. For those of you
Victor Nuno 12 on Twitter.
episode 48, if anybody wants to go listen to it. He thinks that offensively, it's Sandin Pellikka, then Edvinsson, then Sider. So that's just to give you especially if you're in a dynasty league moving forward, just to give you a little bit of idea of where to target, right? So that's why I'm a little bit iffy on Sider, maybe hitting like great numbers, but yeah.
That's why Sider, I feel that 50-point mark might be high. Like this year, he might hit it because like Junior said, I don't think Gustafsson is going to be the guy to. But if you're in a dynasty league, to pay him $8.75 million for him to get you 50 points might be a little too rich for my blood.
All right, guys, if you don't mind, I'm just going to go into our tier 4, which is only 4 players long. And Mike Matheson, Seth Jones.
Are you guys connected to internet?
Yes. Are you?
No.
Time for a new laptop. If anybody has a new laptop to sponsor,
the podcast is still good. So
Okay.
we're good.
Sorry about that.
Mike Matheson, Seth Jones, Justin Falk with no Torrey Krug, Brock Faber. Out of those names,
talk to me, Nick.
is there anybody here that you believe should be in a higher tier?
I'm not gonna say it because you guys are gonna say, yeah, you have him. That's why you want him to be in a higher tier.
Just say it anyways.
Seth Jones.
Okay, what's your proof?
My proof with Seth Jones is that he played on. What did he say?
Because you own him.
Yeah, because I own him.
That's my proof.
That should be good enough for you guys. So Seth Jones, because he's 29 years old, he's still very young. He is the number 1 defenseman on that team. Last year, 6-7 games, 31 points.
That's horrible.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's a 90-point player.
But that's a 38-point pace.
But even though last year you had Bedard, and then your second best scorer was Kurashev. Like this year, Chicago actually built an NHL team where they went to get players that were half decent in the Pertuzis, the Teravainens, Hall being healthy. So their power play is going to be much better this year than it was last year. So you're telling me he can't pick up 15 points on that power play?
It's a lot.
38, you
15.
pick up 15, you're close to 50.
You're telling him to add 15 power play points from one year to the next?
100%.
Chicago. That's a big jump. That's a big jump.
That's a big jump.
The Blackhawks were what? Almost last in power play last year? Bedard, do you believe Bedard is going to get 68 points again?
So what you're saying, because I want to put this in context for the listeners on what
I'm
that
saying
actually
Seth
means.
Jones should be in a higher tier because his surrounding is better than last year.
Okay, but still he didn't put up the points in recent memory of him being on the same tier as the other players. However, if you're saying to add 15 points, well, in 2017, 2018 with Columbus, he had 24 power play points. Last year, he had 9. So what you're specifying is...
Yeah, but 2021, 2022, he had 19 with Chicago.
Right, but I'm saying that 15 points, 9 plus 15 is 24.
Yeah.
You're expecting him to get back to his career best.
100%.
Okay.
I think with the surroundings of that, with how Chicago surrounded their team, they're going to be a better team.
Okay.
And there's no one behind.
That would kind of match Matheson's output from last year, which was his career year.
You know, so
there's a reason they're ranked in the same area.
Like Koszynski, he's not ready. We all agree he's not ready to take the next step on that team.
Probably not.
And then there's Alex Vlasic, who
he's defensive.
Yeah, exactly. So I just feel I would have put Seth Jones in a tier higher.
I would not.
I had a much bigger tier 3. So for me, all these guys are in the same tier.
Okay.
But Vince, if you don't mind doing a quick lightning round, since you're so high on Seth Jones, and I don't mean this in any
ahead.
way, we're just gonna do a lightning round of Seth Jones versus the players we have on our sheet in tier 3.
Ooh, I like this.
So you see who would you take, Seth Jones or the player mentioned? So Seth Jones or John Carlson?
No, John Carlson.
Seth Jones or Dougie Hamilton?
Dougie.
Mikhail Sergachev?
Sergachev.
Shea Theodore?
Theodore.
McAvoy?
Jones.
Morrissey?
Morrissey.
Sider?
Jones.
Uyghur?
Jones.
Okay, so he'd be at the bottom of your tier 3, which makes
I'm not
which
saying
makes
he's at the
decent
top.
sense.
He's not at the top of my tier 3.
That was some good information for the fans, for the listeners. Actually, that was cool. We should do that more often.
He's not in the my top tier. I just feel
Just blame Vince when you lose.
yeah. Bum, bum,
No,
bum.
but I have him in tier 3 as well. It's a much bigger tier 3 because I do expect a boost in production, especially considering that there's talk Krushinski might start in the minors, might not.
Should.
It won't have as much of an opportunity. They want the young players to earn their spot, which is why they went to get all these vets. But in order, you were talking about power play points, you got to, what the hell's the expression that they use? You have to get power plays in order to go on the power play. Guys like Alec Martinez or Tyler Bertuzzi, they don't draw penalties. They don't draw penalties. Bedard will draw you
Bertuzzi
penalties.
doesn't draw penalties. Come on. Bertuzzi draws penalties. Then you have Taylor Hall who draws penalties that last year wasn't there. I'm not saying they're going to
No,
draw
they used to draw penalties, but these guys, they're not.
Guys, they were 28 in the
I
power
feel like
play.
it's a little bit too obscure to really say whether they do or do not. But
Oh, okay. Fuck. I might as well just say it. I don't have access to stats because my computer is obviously not working. A little shit.
I'm saying that it's very
But,
subjective, right?
No, but you could go see how many power play opportunities teams had, and that's what I wanted to check.
Last
But-
year, yeah.
Yes, but anyways, carry on. Moving on.
All right, let's move on a bit because we're pressed up on time.
So Brock Faber, does he
He only had 45 points last year.
45? And
As a
the
rookie, is phenomenal.
the caveat is that he doesn't have a lot of goals.
I'm expecting him to maybe have an uptick a little bit, which is why I have him in the same tier as the other guys.
If he scored more goals, I would have him a little bit higher.
Having said that, I also think Matheson needs to take a step back because 62 was his career year. Before that, he never had anywhere close to that.
Well, yeah, because Leighton Hudson's going to get 95 points.
No, but when Leighton Hudson does join the Montreal Canadiens, maybe halfway through the season,
He might come.
he might. Look. By the way, it looks like now you kind of have to, but I want to see him play exhibition games because that's the ultimate test. I even think they're going to give him those 9 games to start the season.
Possible.
Yeah, for sure.
And then really to test him out completely. But when he does come in, whether it's at the beginning, I mean, if he makes a team out of camp, I still don't think he gets that power play one time out of respect for Matheson. But if Matheson's not doing the job, then Hudson's going to take over right away. But when he does come in halfway through the season, by the halfway point, I think Hudson's going to be the power play guy on that team.
I wanted to talk about Pietrangelo in our next tier.
There's a few players in that tier that can be maybe sleepers for our listeners.
I hate Pietrangelo. I don't like him. I don't like him as a player. I don't like him as a
He's
point producer.
He's a phenomenal player.
Ah, well, he's
Stanley Cups.
yeah, whatever. The point is not that. The point is I just don't like him as a player in the sense of he's one of those old school players. He's one of those cross-checking players from behind.
Chris Pronger.
That's all right. Like that's their physicality.
Chris Pronger.
He's a
But he doesn't
player.
really put up points necessarily.
He peaked offensively towards the end of that era. Right before they were transitioning to the skilled defensemen, that
Smaller.
unidimensional or whatnot. He peaked right before that transition. So when that transition happened of this new era we're seeing now, that's not his game. And that's why he lost out to a guy like Theodore and even Hannafin, to say.
Who's in this tier also?
So for me, Pietrangelo, from a fantasy perspective, I'm not even touching. I don't have faith.
There's in this one. There's 3 guys that interest me. Do you want me to name them?
Yes,
Okay.
I will want you to name them. I just want to mention before I forget, because I am like that, right?
Go, Nick.
This tier is a lot of guys who don't necessarily have the number one role, the number one power play role on their team. Okay, so, and you could disagree with it if you want, but if they do have it, there's competition there that they might lose it. So we'll see. Like, you name them,
Okay,
and
so-
then we'll go from there.
So Pierangelo that Nick spoke about, Drew Doughty, Vince Dunn, Rasmus Anderson, Noah Hannafin, Chris Letang, Brandon Montour, and Jake Sanderson. So there's 3 players on this list that really interest me, because I do think they do have the number one power play. They have the number one defenseman on their
Go for it.
shirt.
I already know one.
Vince Dunn, Montour, and Jake Sanderson.
Okay, well, Montour and Dunn are
they
on the
play on
same
the same
team,
team.
so you can't say that.
I thought you were gonna say Montour because you were talking so highly of him last time.
Wait. Oh yes, sorry, my bad.
You got
Pa-pa-pow.
guaranteed you got confused.
With,
Arizona and
Justin Falk.
Oh, Justin Falk.
Okay, so we'll go there. Montour and Jake Sanderson. Who's Montour? You can say Vince Dunn's his competition because he's been there, but remember they paid Montour, so I'm guessing they're gonna push for him to be on number one. Jake Sanderson.
There's questions there.
Yeah,
There's questions.
Jake
There's definitely
Sanderson
questions.
had what's his name that went to Washington, Chikrin, and behind him after Shabbat, who we can all agree took a huge downfall.
Do you know Jake Sanderson has played 2 seasons in the NHL? 32 points and 38 points.
Which
But it's still not 50 points, right? I know he could get there, but he's not there yet. I don't know if that's where he's going to go necessarily. But
Okay.
there's question marks.
so Jake Sanderson first season was not number one. There was still Shabbat there, and there was still
He had 40% of the power play time in season 1.
okay.
He had 52% of the power play time in season 2.
So his point difference was how much from season 1 to season 2?
A couple of points. Huh?
Couple.
Okay.
6.
So Jake Sanderson got how many points in the season 2?
38.
38. Faber got 45, but we're praising Faber.
Because he did it in one shot.
Year one.
Yeah, but year one, there was nobody who was Faber's competition in Minnesota after.
Spurgeon.
Spurgeon went down after 4 games.
Yeah, Spurgeon. didn't
Spurgeon
play
got
much.
injured. Yeah, you're right.
So there was no competition for Faber. He was there and playing with Kaprizov and whatever.
I like Jake Sanderson. I do
too.
I do see an uptick in points. I see him hitting close to 50
But
this year. 50 points.
This year?
Yeah, I don't see
But
him
I
pulling
don't-
Evan Bouchard where he's going to go to 80 points.
Don't discount Shabbat though. I think Shabbat is still going to be very
think?
involved in the offense. Yeah,
He's
he's still young. I think he had a lot on his shoulders. They put too much on him, and towards the end of last year, he started to come around offensively again.
Let's just say that I wouldn't be surprised if Sanderson does end up one tier ahead of this tier by the end of the season. But
you wouldn't be surprised if he stays in this tier.
right now, the point production means he belongs in this tier.
Dunn Montour, who runs away with a power play one on that team.
That's a coin flip. It's a coin flip. I think Dunn keeps his power play 1 role because he had it last year.
Okay.
But are you surprised if Montour comes in and starts putting up points again?
I think it's Dunn's to lose.
Yeah.
Do you think they would go with two defensemen on the first power play? Which teams
They
rarely
could
do
very
that?
well do that actually, because it's not like they have 3 superstars that you absolutely want to put on the first unit. I mean, they have guys like Eberle, Burakovsky, McCann. Like McCann's going to be there.
Beniers,
Beniers.
Shane Wright.
Beniers, Shane
Shane
Wright.
Wright,
Shane
not
Wright,
really,
like they
not
have
yet.
him projected 4th line. It's very weird, but I don't know if they're going to give him that power play 1 right away. But we talk about it all the time. They have like 3 second lines on that team. Maybe they do put Dunn and Montour. I'm curious to see. They haven't played an exhibition game yet, eh?
So
Not
we,
yet.
we spoke about the young guys.
Well, guys, this is...
two old guys.
Yeah.
Like last question, 2 old guys. Letang Doughty, are they still fantasy relative?
Absolutely. Especially Doughty. Until Clark really comes and takes over that spot, Doughty Dowdy's been a consistent, like, now he's been going into 50 points. Sorry, I don't have access to stats, but can you correct me? He's been like 50 to 60 points pretty consistently.
Doughty?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, I think I saw.
I think last year he was close to 50 as well.
Last year he had yeah.
So I think Doughty is still relevant until
50 on the dot.
On the dot. There you go. Until Brad Clark fully takes over, I don't see Doughty not being relevant. Like, he had 50 points in 82 last year, 52 and 81 the year before, 31 and 39. I mean, we're not going to go too far back there. He is getting up there in age as well.
Do you know who lost power play 1 in Pittsburgh? To Erik Karlsson.
Letang.
Do you know how many points he put up?
40?
51.
That's why he's still relevant, guys. You could have two offensive defensemen staying relevant. It doesn't mean he'll get more points than Karlsson, but he could still get you enough points that makes him relevant.
At a $6 million contract, it makes him quite relevant.
Yeah.
All right, so we're starting to reach near the end of the episode here. There's a few. I mean, we've gone over 32 defensemen.
Yeah, which I think is more okay.
Which is not as many as we draft, but maybe we do one more tier, or do you want to just name people that interest you from here on out?
I would just say look at names and see who interests you. Who do you guys think could sneak up into getting drafted in?
Well, Devin Taves is usually drafted, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had 50 points last year. He had 50 points the year before that. He had 57 the year before that. So he might belong in a tier higher. So Devin Taves is definitely one for me. Forsling as well. Scored a goal today in preseason.
Ekblad is projected to be the PP1, but then you have a young guy like Adam Boquist, who I just traded for as well. I'm hoping like he gets an opportunity because they don't have like a guy that's for sure going to be given that spot or that's going to earn that spot. I think Florida is like a wait and see type of thing. I don't know. Would you draft Ekblad without really knowing, first of all, how healthy he can stay and if he's even going to get that power play time? I don't know. I feel like that could change from one game to the next in that team.
I feel there's other players that you can bet on that.
Like
in these tiers, there's very good competitions, right?
Yeah.
Like within the team.
The team, yeah.
So let's say like Philly, you have Sanheim, you have Drysdale. So
you have York.
You have York. That's 3 players. Who's going to take that?
Actually, who was I listening to? I think it was the Fantasy Hockey Life. That was Victor Nuno. And they were saying how Cam York is the most likely of the 3 to earn that power play 1.
So that's interesting battles. That this is why we have to pay attention in preseason games, because this is where we see where the teams are about like heading to. Even when we were talking to Victor, when we asked him, Michukov or Zellweger, who's going to take that number 1D, that power play 1?
Because episode 48, like and subscribe.
No, but don't you think especially in defensemen, it's very important that they play on the power play 1?
I think so. Any power play defenseman, depending on how many power play defensemen you start in your leagues, anybody that gets power play time is relevant.
Yeah, and I have another possible coin flip: Brent Burns or Shane Gostisbehere.
I think it's going to be Gostisbehere.
It's got to be Gostisbehere to start, right? But does Burns still put you up to 48 points, 50 points?
By the way, Ekblad really scares me. 51 games played last year, 18 points.
Yeah.
The year before that, 71 games played, 38 points.
He's gonna
Look, don't let that scare you. Ekblad is going to be very highly productive, and I think anybody in Lama who needs depth defenseman should call me.
Listen,
projectlama.xyz if you need to watch the website.
Well, but these defensemen that we just named basically are not defensemen. They shouldn't be your first defenseman you're picking in your redraft leagues or any leagues like that.
No, I mean, these are like zero
D, basically. This is when you're going D last and you're hoping that you hit you hit
someone
with one of them or maybe 2 of them.
Yeah, like.
Do you guys have another guy to talk about, or
Chikrin had 41 points last year. I just want to mention that.
I think Chikrin could have a nice little boost of production. I think he'll compete with. I think it's one of those things where Carlson and Chikrin will both get points. I think Sandin is the one to fade away from. Would you not say? And you know how earlier we were talking about how the additions of Nashville, whether it makes a difference or not for a guy like Roman Yossi? I think it makes a difference for a guy like Brady Shea. I think Brady Shea playing with more talented players, a more offensive system, he could naturally just get an uptick in points.
Yeah, I like that.
In a salary league at $7 million, maybe not enough.
Depends
But
if you're desperate.
in a non-cap league, I think Shea can put up a decent amount of points. I wouldn't be surprised if he hits 50, 55.
Nick, go. You said you had another.
I want to finish.
Last one. Go
I
ahead.
want to finish the podcast
Christ.
on somebody that's at the bottom of this list. He's at the bottom of all our tiers. Lane Hudson. If he plays,
We spoke about him at the beginning. In the middle.
we're gonna talk about him all the time. All right. If he plays a full season in Montreal, which I am not saying he will, I am not predicting he will. If he plays a full season in the NHL, what do you think his points are?
50 points.
Wow.
Full season. Hey, full season.
fine.
Full season. I'll explain myself just by saying if he's playing a full season, it's because they're going to give him the opportunity and he's earned the opportunity.
This is what's wrong with Montreal fans. 30 to 30 maximum, and if he hits 35, I'm jumping in the air. Like, we're just praising Faber for hitting 55, 45 points on his rookie. And we're
Faber, in all honesty, though, Faber did come out of nowhere. He was never
But guys,
touted offensively in that way.
name me a defenseman that's come in the league. Faber does not have the skill in his body to do anything Lane Hudson does with the puck on his stick. He does not. Offensively. And we're talking about points. If he's making the team, it's because they're relying on him to produce points. They're going to live with his mistakes on the back. On the D
But
zone.
are they really going to live
but
with his
Faber-
mistakes in the
Vince,
back?
he starts the season from the beginning. They have no choice. They made that decision.
There's
no,
a
but
reason
they
I-
made that.
I mentioned
they
this
made
thing.
that decision. You guys said if he starts the year, how many points is he going to get? If he starts the year, they're going to live and die with him. That's essentially what they're deciding.
No.
Listen,
Because you don't develop in the NHL. So they're saying he's ready and we're going to give him the go and he's going to get points.
Faber played 24:58 average time on ice.
Hudson won't get that. That's
So-
not why you're starting him in the league.
That's why I don't think he's going to reach the 47 points that Faber reached last year. Because the amount of time on ice plays a huge role. But in between you and you, I say 40. So if he plays a full season in the NHL, I think every second game he's getting a point.
So we'll touch base again game 10 because that'll determine whether he's in the league from the beginning.
Okay, so something to what makes you take Lane Hudson over Logan Mailloux? Because if you think of
I'm not-
Logan Mailloux before, no, but I'm
That
just
wasn't
saying,
the question.
No, but this is my question. What makes you take? Because everybody's like downplaying Logan Mailloux and all going to Lane Hudson, but in Logan Mailloux's draft year, remember why he went as low as he did, or else he was supposed to be top 20, drafted in the top 20.
Sure.
Same place Lane Hudson got drafted.
No, Lane Hudson.
Vince,
got
if
drafted in
Lane
the
Hudson
second
was 6 foot, he was the top 5 the pick in the draft.
But he's not. That's the problem.
But forget that. He's there for points. He's there. Logan Mailloux
So he's
could
a-
hold his own in the NHL.
Junior,
Lane
so-
Hudson has to produce
so
points.
he's a Shane Gottsberg. That's what you're saying.
No, because he could develop that game. It doesn't matter, Shane Goss. I don't care about a two-way player. You're asking me how many points he could produce.
But
if
without
he's
the-
in the team from the beginning, it's because they're going to live and die with his mistakes.
They're not gonna play him over 20 minutes, Junior. It's impossible. They're gonna play Lane Hudson.
He
You're
just
being-
has to get points if he's on the ice with Caulfield, Slavkovsky, and Suzuki every time they're on the ice.
you have an owner saying that we want to push for the next step.
Vince,
and
but-
all of a sudden-
no, you're changing the conversation.
No, because if you're
I don't
pushing
think
for
he should start the year in the NHL.
100%.
But worse, the hypothetical question was if he does,
It
how
was
many
hypothetical.
points does he get? And it's 50. It's 50.
So you think
It's
if he,
fucking 50.
okay? So if you think he starts in the NHL, you're thinking he starts as a first pairing defenseman. That's what you're thinking.
In the NHL.
Yeah. If he
He's going to
starts
play
in the,
with probably Savard.
So that's the second pairing defenseman. So
I
it's
don't
not
know.
first pairing
No, there's
defenseman
no-
numbers. Time on ice.
Vince, when Hudson's on the ice, he's going to have the puck. So anytime he has the puck, he could get a point.
Okay, so in all fairness,
And to me, he's a power play one
This
guy.
will be a fun conversation to have midway through
But
the season.
In
we
all
all agree
fairness-
that he shouldn't start in the NHL.
okay, in all fairness, it was a great question because it got you guys riled up, and that's
Yeah,
that's
but
why.
you stayed out of it. You didn't even give your take. 40
I did,
points.
40
I'm in
points.
the middle.
I'm in the middle. No, but 40 points. Come on, that's not bad. 40 points.
No, it's pretty good. Well, even 35,
rookie?
30 is pretty good.
But 30 to 35 is a phenomenal year for
The one thing that they're saying, and so far, all the players are saying about him, all his colleagues, right, are saying about him, is that he has the puck on his stick. He doesn't give it up.
He'll make boneheaded mistakes. Like, he'll make mistakes with the
No,
puck.
that's not what I mean. I mean, like, he will control the pace of the game when the puck is on his stick. So it's an interesting thing to read and to look at because he does definitely have talent with the puck on his stick. So if he could be at least league average in defensively when it's not on his stick.
If he didn't have talent, there wouldn't be so much discussion around him, right?
Right.
So the discussion that's around Lane Hudson, or all the discussions that are around, are because he has the talent. But at the end of the day, in the NHL, there's more than talent that brings you to that level that people are putting him on right now.
Don't forget that according to Vegas odds, he is in the conversation for Calder. So
In the end, it's just like we compare him to power play guys like Gostisbehere. Gostisbehere has nothing on Lane Hudson.
You
guys,
compared him to Quinn Hughes.
because offensively he's got skills, guys. He's got skills like Quinn Hughes offensively. He really does.
guys, if you want to join
I
in
just
the
don't think he has a
conversation,
shot like Quinn Hughes because
please
Quinn
leave
Hughes'
us-
shot is underrated. But guys, he moves.
We're just gonna start the outro.
No, you get you don't watch. You don't watch. You clearly haven't been watching. You don't watch.
I can't wait to
Lane
have
Hudson for the Calder, baby.
I can't wait to have this conversation halfway through the season.
guys, please like and subscribe on YouTube. Please follow us on all social media platforms, including X, Twitter, TikTok, at Partial Break Pod. And we also have,
Why are you yelling?
because you've been yelling in my ear, I'm starting to lose all kinds of. Anyways, we use Frozen Tools. We use Dom's Decisions list. That's a very good list for you guys that want to tweak the standings to your preference for your leagues. Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube. Am I missing anything? Oh,
You're
leave
putting
a
them to
comment on
sleep.
leave a comment on the Lane Hudson discussion. We're always interested in hearing more about what you guys think.
By the way, Nick color coded his tears this
I
week.
did color code my tears this time.
Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Have a
Good
good
night.
one,
See you
everybody.
next
Stay
week.
safe.